There are a few, shall we say, unpleasant places to be shot with an airsoft gun, but perhaps the most common is taking a shot to the fingers. I mean, it makes sense. When you pop out a cover, it's nearly guaranteed that your gun and your bony digits holding it are right there for the taking. Now, gloves won't take away that pain completely, and yes, I'm sure some of you will say, just suck it up, but a good pair of gloves does take away a lot of that sting, and with so many modern, refined options, you might even forget you have them on. And of course, gloves do standard glove things as well. They're great for cold weather games, protect you from things like scrapes and splinters, and let's be real, it might make your loadout look a little bit more tactical, whatever that's worth. Before we get started on the list, a couple quick tips. Choose the smallest size that still fits your hands. Gloves stretch a bit over time, and like most things in life, it's always better to be a little tighter than looser. In the same vein, if you can, always try on the gloves. Fitment and comfort are very subjective. Better yet, grab a hold of a similar gun to yours. Gloves can affect your grip in a big way, and that should be taken into account when choosing. Once you've decided on a pair, make sure you actually train and practice with them on. The field is not the best place to find out your magazine pinches the fabric or otherwise inhibits your ability to play comfortably. Remember, the best gloves are the ones you don't think about. Starting off the list is the hardback style gloves. If you've watched some airsoft or paintball gameplay, you've likely seen a pair of these on. A couple different brands make these, but they are more or less the same. They are the most affordable on the list, and they also offer the most protection. They're made of a breathable mesh fabric with a faux suede palm, and they cinch up tight around the wrist with a Velcro strap. Protection comes from a tough yet flexible polymer covering nearly the entire top of your hand minus the thumb. There are cuts all the way along the finger joints to allow for articulation, and also cuts to allow for breathability. Bear in mind that the way it's stitched, the fingers will be a little bit wider and might have trouble fitting into smaller trigger guards. It also has pretty big seams along your fingers, which aren't necessarily uncomfortable, but definitely make it a little less like a second skin, so to speak. A good option if you just want maximum protection, but if you don't want to have to take them off whenever you need even a little dexterity, I'd keep looking. Next up are the Valken Zulu gloves. These are modeled after an Oakley design, which were quite popular in the military, which of course meant they were prevalent in video games and movies as well, easily recognized by their iconic knuckle guards. The first thing you notice compared to the hardback is how much tighter they fit, despite both being the same size large. There is a lot less extra fabric, and the seams are definitely a bit smaller. These also have a Velcro strap, but it's reversed in direction, which to me feels a little bit more natural, and being on the inside of the wrist is less likely to snag on things. The knuckle protection is definitely this glove's standout feature, and I'd imagine you could definitely take some shots, maybe even punch a wall, and barely feel it. But of course, only if it actually hits your knuckles. The fingers offer no extra protection. But perhaps more importantly, because it's a completely stiff material, opening up your hand causes the shell to slip behind your knuckles and overall doesn't conform to your hand movement very well. Not terrible, but I'm not sure it's worth the trade-off. The palm has extra panels of fabric and a bit of padding in the high stress areas. Personally, I prefer thinner, non-padded palms so as to not change my grip much at all, but some people may welcome that extra padding and durability. Overall, the Zulus are constructed well and fit your hand quite comfortably. If you like the iconic styling or you're recreating a specific loadout, you can't go wrong. Next up is a pair that probably needs no introduction, the Mechanics Original. Mechanics gained a pretty large following in the auto industry, and the tactical industry was quick to adopt them as well. We're proud to have recently become licensed mechanics dealers and to be able to offer many different flavors that might suit your needs. Their claim to fame is definitely the overall fitment and comfort. Trying to avoid cliches like it fits like a glove, over the years they simply just got the fitment down right. They found a good mixture of durability and dexterity with a synthetic leather palm and a stretchy material for the top of the hand. I personally wear a pair for mountain biking, which is pretty hard wearing on any gloves, and I got 5 years out of my last pair before they wore through. I've owned shoes that didn't last half as long. The Velcro strap is made of a thermoplastic rubber and will last for years as well. They lack any significant defense against BBs, but still, like I said, it's definitely better than nothing. An excellent, versatile pair that you can use for much more than just airsoft. If you want a pair that will do it all with an excellent track record, these are a sure bet, especially at just $10 more than those first hardbacks. If you like the features of the original, but you're the type to often take off and put back on your gloves, check out the Fast Fit lineup. They feel largely the same as the originals, and though in theory without that Velcro strap they aren't quite as secure on the hands, through our testing it didn't really seem to be an issue. I can see how mechanics who rely on their gloves to lift heavy parts all day long would want that extra locked on security, but in airsoft I think it's a lot less important. For most people, it's probably a little bit more convenient to slip them off quickly to do something you need dexterity for, but at the same time, the Velcro strap isn't all that much slower anyway. Just something to consider. Next up is a pair that has become very popular in the airsoft world, the MPAC series, spelled with an M at the front because branding. Constructed very similar to the original, it basically adds a rubber armor on top of the knuckles, running along the entirety of each finger except the index finger and thumb. It also adds extra padding on the palm area and extra fabric in high stress points for a bit extra durability. Personally, these are the most comfortable of the extra protection style gloves with a generous amount of cuts to allow for movement. The protection comes at a cost though, and these are a good 50% more than the originals, but if you get shot in the fingers often, that's a small price to pay. If you're really hard on your gloves, or maybe you just want to preserve those hands for your hand modeling side gig, these might fit the bill. Now, if you find yourself overheating often while out on the field, consider the vent gloves. These have breathing holes all over the glove, from the palm to the top of the hand, so sweaty palms might want to give these a go. It's a newer design compared to the last few mechanics, and they opted to relocate the Velcro strap to the outside. I think the main reason is to add a small elastic strap along the inside of the wrist, a little similar to the Fast Fit. Excellent call in my opinion for a bit of both worlds. To get all those little vent holes, they needed to use a stronger, less stretchy fabric on top, and they added cuts to the fingers, which I think is always a good idea. These are really comfortable on the hands, perhaps even more so than the originals, and we noticed an even smaller seam along the fingers. Excellent for hot summer games. The only downside we can think of is it's definitely not going to be as durable. Which leads us to the last pair, the specialty 0.5mm. The 0.5mm refers to the thickness of the palm material, whereas the original is 0.8mm. Just like the vent, this is one of their newer models with a Velcro strap on the outside for that elastic on the inside. The palm material has an added texturing not seen on other models, which we found very nice and grippy to use. The thinner material isn't a huge contrast, but in practice we definitely noticed we could feel things through the material just a little bit better. Perhaps more importantly, that thinner material means the seams are even smaller than the vent gloves, which were already smaller than the originals, so these are seriously form-fitting gloves. Despite being thinner, they added a bit of extra material strategically in a few areas, so hopefully durability won't be affected too much. We haven't seen any wear through yet, but they also haven't been on the market too long. In my eyes though, that added dexterity and comfort is easily worth the hit to longevity. In fact, as soon as we got these in, I picked up a pair for myself because they fit even better than my old, very well broken in pair right out of the gate. It's also only $5 more than the originals, so it was a pretty easy choice to try out the new design. With all these options at your disposal, you're bound to find a pair that's perfect for your needs, but I stress that if at all possible, try to come into the store and try them on yourself. Let us know in the comments what your favorite pair of gloves are, or maybe you choose not to wear any at all. Remember, if you do use gloves though, to train as much as you can with those gloves on, and you'll quickly forget that they're even there. As always, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.